where it all begins. The quest to become great. Inspired by those who went before them, these four boys dream of playing in the ISSA schoolboy football competitions.
Will you score this for Casey? Will you score? It's a shot, it's a goal!
And it's a shot, and it's a goal! And Casey has won the Manning Cup, and they will play Clarendon College in the Olivia Shield. And that's what you love to see. They may be rivals, but the camaraderie is what it's all about. Can't wait for the final.
When the bus the man, I want to watch my son play finals on CVM, you know.
But mums, you can't watch it on CVM website, man.
Score! My son score! My son score! My son score! My son score!
Greatness begins here.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's a live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Every dream conquered is another dream game. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction. 'Cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music is a play, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't fit the dark, shine your lights on.
Hey everybody, I'm Yendi, and this is Odyssey with Yendi. In this space, we connect with some of your favorite people as they share their journeys. Here we have some unfiltered conversations as we deep dive into their inspirations, motivations, and experiences to inspire our own life journey.
Odyssey with Yendi, brought to you by Grace, Singer, and Islandnet Services.
It's time.
Welcome to High School Pitchside. We have another fascinating episode for you.
More matches, more big clashes.
Let's talk about some of the big rivalries coming up this week.
More of your favorite features.
And trust me, you won't fall asleep in this history class.
And of course, we always want to hear from you.
Hear from your alma mater's players and coaches in Team Talk.
You know we can't leave you out. So send us your messages on social media and watch us react on FanView.
And you know we love a good little debate, right, Gio?
We've got you covered all season long on High School Pitchside.
High School Pitchside, your ultimate guide to all things schoolboy football, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
Hi, I'm Drosel Mills, and this is Watch the Weather Hurricane Tips. Fact: hurricanes rarely produce lightning. Though rare, it is not impossible. Lightning storms occur suddenly, and if struck, can paralyze and or kill you. We are already in the hurricane season, plus the cooler months, or what is referred to as the wet season, is approaching. Therefore, anything is possible, especially with climate change playing a major role. But not
Thanks for joining us for this special edition of CVM News at Noon. It's Friday, October 24. I'm Amoy Harriet. We begin with the very latest in our tracking of Tropical Storm Melissa. The system remains a serious threat to Jamaica, with a tropical storm warning and hurricane watch still in effect. At 7 a.m., the center was about 256 kilometers southeast of Morant Point and 300 kilometers southeast of Kingston. Melissa is drifting slowly and is forecast to turn westward this weekend, with gradual strengthening now and rapid intensification expected. A hurricane by Saturday and a major hurricane by Sunday. Maximum winds are near 75 kilometers per hour with higher gusts. Tropical storm force winds extend 220 kilometers from the center. Now, eastern parishes could see 200 to 350 millimeters of rain through the weekend, with widespread flooding and landslides are likely. Tropical storm winds will develop later today and spread island-wide. Hurricane force winds are possible from Saturday. Now, marine interests and small craft must remain in port and complete safety measures. Joining us now via Zoom is meteorologist Javoy Sawyers to talk further about this development. Welcome, Javoy.
Hi, good afternoon.
So this update that I read just now is from the Met Office, which was issued at 7 a.m. What has changed since then?
Well, the general strength of Melissa remains the same. The general speed, non-existent, stationary at this point, more or less. Since this morning, though, the center has jogged or relocated somewhat towards the south and east of where it was earlier. This more in line with the thunderstorm development that we were seeing just east of the eye. Now the surface low is pretty much relocated underneath that strong thunderstorm complex. What this does, or what this indicates, is that the system is beginning to get ready to start that strengthening trend. I'm expecting it to increase in strength as a tropical storm to tonight into tomorrow morning, and then progress into a Category 1 hurricane sometime Saturday. And from there, expecting the rapid development to continue throughout the weekend.
So with that change that you mentioned, which areas of Jamaica are expected to feel the worst impacts first?
First, eastern parishes still. Even though the position of the center has shifted a little bit, it doesn't change the general forecast of what we're expecting to occur across the island, beginning in the east. Some squally conditions should actually begin developing or begin affecting eastern parishes later on this evening. Not continuous, expecting it to be on and off as the system progresses westward. And then from there, cloudiness and showers, thunderstorms, and gusty winds at times to begin affecting most parishes tomorrow.
So we're seeing the latest projection from Zoom Earth, which shows that the eye is passing directly over western Jamaica. What's the significance of this?
Well, that is just one. The general consensus now is that the center of the system expected to pass south and then recurve west across the western tip of the island. We're seeing some shifting in the models where it pertains to exactly where the center of the system tracks, either west of the island or cutting across the island. Some models have it skirting the southern coast before turning north across the island. So a landfalling hurricane is not out of the question. Like I said earlier, depending on where the system recurves, it has implications of how strong it could get. The longer it remains of water, of course, is the more time it has to deepen into a stronger hurricane before making that trek across the island. However, respecting conditions to affect all parishes come weekend, tomorrow morning into Sunday.
So the Met update that I shared earlier mentioned the terms gradual strengthening and a rapid intensification. What do these terms mean, and how soon could they happen?
Well, a gradual strengthening would be what we have experienced during Beryl, Ivan. Every day you come online, you see, okay, Category 1, Category 2 the next day, Category 3 the following day. A rapid intensification, however, could mean that you check the weather at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, it's a Category 1, and then by 6 p.m., 7 p.m., it's a Category 3, 4. That rapid deepening has become pretty much more frequent as we see more and more hurricane season pass. So we're expecting the system to rapidly intensify tomorrow, Saturday into Sunday, moving from a Category 1 hurricane to potentially Category 3 or 4.
So Javoy, you're in Montego Bay where the eye is expected to pass over that area. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm not sure how to feel about it. Like I said, the eye is just the center of the system. The impacts are located. The main impacts are located around that that center of circulation in the eye wall. It remains to question where exactly the center will trek across the island or to the waters west of the island, and from that. Impacts will determine, or some impacts will be varying from other impacts. So we may have Category 4 strength winds in the west. However, if the system tracks this way, then it alleviates the wind potential on the eastern end. Nonetheless, tropical storm to hurricane force winds are expected across the island for several days, actually.
Several days. It's interesting that you mentioned that because one of the concerns I hear many people talking about is this fear that unlike Beryl and Gilbert, which hovered over Jamaica for a few hours, because of the slow pace at which Melissa is moving, it's likely that she'll be here for several days. What's your projection where that's concerned? Is it that this heavy rainfall that we're going to see possibly on Saturday, that is going to last for those several days or those few days that you mentioned?
Well, we can expect periods of moderate to heavy thunder showers and showers across the island, lasting from early as tomorrow morning, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and even possibly Wednesday morning, depending on how deep or how steep the system curves around the island. It will put the brunt of the system across the island as it makes that recurve around the west. And there's not much to say in regards to that. It is what it is, respecting about 24 inches of rainfall or higher in some spots throughout the period.
All right, thank you so much. That's meteorologist Javoy Sawyers. You'll be back at 7 o'clock, right, to give us what's happening in terms of updates with Tropical Storm Melissa. That's CVM News at 7, little later on. Thank you so much, Javoy. Residents in Gordontown and Mavis Bank, St. Andrew are on edge as they brace for the effects of Tropical Storm Melissa. The areas are long known for their steep slopes and history of landslides. Now, with the threat of heavy rainfall looming, emergency officials are urging residents to remain vigilant and to move quickly if evacuation becomes necessary. Our reporter Omari Wilson visited this morning. Omari?
Thank you, Amoy. For residents living in the Gordontown and Mavis Bank area, landslide is a major concern for them. We hit the streets with the residents here to hear what are their preparations ahead of Tropical Storm Melissa, as well as the Mavis Bank Police Station to hear how are preparations going for the residents who live on areas that are prone to landslides. Here was what they had to say.
Now, Omari also spoke with Corporal of Police Nigel Bish.
Well, so far I am looking currently on a list that is prepared for this is really police officers, and for the centers, I think we have names of persons who is in charge of centers, like for instance the Mavis Bank High School. With one of the shelter, and we have the name of the person and telephone number. We have the name and telephone number. Well, we always told those persons that find some relatives or friends or something and come down to the area where they know it's more safe. And we had heavy here, we practice the same. And if in case they need if the persons doesn't have numbers or know who is in charge of the center, they can contact the Mavis Bank police station, and then we will issue them names and telephone numbers for person in charge of shelters.
We have to prepare water, food as usual, put black on the house top to keep it, that it not blow off. Cut the tree them around the house, that do already.
Now, Omari will be in the area throughout the course of today and will provide an update later in CVM News at 7. Over in St. Thomas, officials are racing against the weather as a tropical storm Melissa threatens to disrupt their livelihoods. Docks that were usually buzzing with activity have fallen quiet as men pull their boats ashore and reinforce makeshift storage sheds. Many say they're still recovering from losses during Hurricane Beryl a year ago, when strong winds and storm surge ripped through gear and fish pots. Now this time, they say they're focused on protecting what's left. Several officials say the rough seas over the past few days have already forced them to stay grounded, cutting into their weekly earnings. Now, Jamaica hasn't yet started to feel the effects of Tropical Storm Melissa, but sections of Westmoreland are already under flood waters. Residents in Galloway District in the parish say they're in serious danger of being cut off as rising waters continue to swallow roads and yards. The flooding has already taken a toll on livelihoods, with crops destroyed and livestock displaced. Member of Parliament for Central Westmoreland, Dwayne Vaz, toured sections of the constituency with representatives from the National Works Agency. The visit formed part of efforts to clear drains and gullies and identify alternative channels to redirect water flow and reduce flooding risks.
Well, this is our first stop. We have a lot of stops to make today because we have a lot of major areas where the drains need to be cleaned, especially knowing that the hurricane is on its way to Jamaica. We still are hoping that it doesn't happen, but we have to be prepared for whatever eventualities may happen. So this area, we call it Galloway Lane. There's a situation here where this water is coming from Witton, and it is coming across the road here, right in this vicinity. So what we're planning to do is to actually clear certain areas right here, so the water doesn't come across the road and affect the traffic that is coming right here. And we're also going to clear across over that side to ensure that the water runs in the channel that it's supposed to run and does not stay on the road. This area is always prone for flooding, so we have to ensure we do what is necessary to keep the water off the road and off the property of the citizens here also.
Still out west, on September 17, a sudden downpour left parts of the second city, Montego Bay, underwater. The road near Catherine Hall Stadium Road was particularly affected. So what's now? And what's Montego Bay doing ahead of Tropical Storm Melissa? We're joined now by Mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon. Mr. Vernon, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So a month and a week after that sudden flood, you're now bracing for Melissa. What improvements have been made to your drainage system in that area specifically since September?
That area was cleared. That's the Temple Gallery area. Contributed to flooding in the Hope area, entering Hope Village. We also had some flooding in Catherine Hall. Those main drains were cleared. And we can't guarantee that it will not be flood. That is not part of the preparation. The preparation is to ensure that we cut down the risk as much as possible. But the flooding is also associated with Pie River, which needs to be drenched, and that will happen long after the hurricane has passed. So we are preparing in terms of evacuation, having contingencies in place, the response team, all of that. And in terms of the major gullies, south and north, those were done. And we are also doing the critical drains within the city of Montego. Funding was allocated across the divisions to deal with critical drains for the rest of the parish. And in terms of the other preparation with our agencies, we've been doing that. We did shelter inspection, we did shelter managers training. We also met with our team yesterday, the parish disaster committee, and we look at the readiness of the different agencies and their response teams. We have on standby 9 ambulances and possibly one PMV, which is they call it the Bushmaster, that is usually supplied by the Jamaica Defense Force. We have approximately 6 drones to help with search and rescue.
So, Mr.
The Jamaica Fire
Vernon,
Brigade is on standby.
so, Mr.
And
Vernon,
we
the
are
videos that our viewers are currently looking at, this cleanup work that seems to be happening, what exactly are these areas that we're seeing in these videos?
So the South Gully, that is what you're looking at now, and it has 2 tributaries. That specific one is in the Princess Street area. They call it Cyril Gully, and that is the larger tributary. It was cleared over the weekend, and the other one that is along Creek Street, that one was cleared yesterday. And those are usually the tributaries that contribute to flooding within the area. So we have mitigated the risk associated with flooding for that particular gully. I'm not sure if you're seeing the other one, but the other one is for North Gully. That one, that's a major gully. That is the one when it is contributing to the flood, it does so in a significant way, blocking out the Union Street area and the gully embankment along William Street, where we have residents. And I urge those residents to evacuate if needs be, seek higher ground. And there are also flood gauges within those sections.
Okay.
And once it reaches about 2 feet, persons, they must take heed. They should not enter the area. And also, if you know that you're in a vulnerable structure, seek a shelter or move to a family member, because it is harder to deal with the rescue than to make the preparations in light of the situation that you have to deal with. Which, in other words, if you have a vulnerable structure, if you know that you need to move, because when the situation has begun, it is harder to deploy resources for that.
So speaking of shelters, Mr. Vernon, speaking of shelters, what exactly are the preparations that have been made to assist people who may need to use these shelters? Because it appears that there's a common concern right across Jamaica where a lot of residents don't even know where the shelters are in their parish. What exactly are the measures that are being put in place by Montego Bay?
So we have disseminated the information to community groups. The Social Development Commission is helping with that. The members from the Persons with Disabilities Association were at our meeting yesterday. They are also distributing the information so persons can be more up-to-date as to where their shelter is and how they can get there. In terms of what we are doing, as I said before, we had our shelter inspection from June. They are in very good condition. We have access of persons with disabilities. We have shelter for tourists at the convention center, Montego Bay Convention Center. We have shelter for our homeless at the Jarrett Park. All those have been prepared and are on standby. We have made contact with our suppliers so that food can be supplied to those areas in case we need to. And we
Speaking
have
of
also
contact,
placed our contractors on standby in case of us having to deal with a cleanup exercise or even rescue. So we are in a state of readiness and we're doing as much as possible. We are to activate the EOC if needs be, and we're just monitoring the bulletins from ADPEM as well as the update from our acting parish disaster coordinator.
Okay, speaking of contact, can you share a phone number for persons in St. James who may need an emergency contact for persons in St. James who may need to reach out to the municipal corporation during the storm?
They can call 952-5300 to 2. And they will be managed from that standpoint.
All right.
And as well, they can reach out to their counselors. Each division has a counselor. Reach out to your counselor. They are part of the EOC. Reach out to your member of parliament. They are part of the EOC. They will be able to guide you, and if we have to get to the other agencies to help you with a particular situation, we will also do that. So keep in touch with your local representatives, and you will get as much information as needed, and how you're supposed to react within the particular situation.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Vernon. That's Mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon, giving us the latest about what's happening down west or up west. Thank you so much again, Mr. Vernon. Now, moving from west to central Jamaica, residents in Boudou, St. Catherine are bracing for the possible impact of Tropical Storm Melissa. Now, with heavy rains and strong winds expected to lash parts of the island, many in the small rural communities say they're anxious about what's to come. Our reporter Akeem Orit visited the area and filed this report.
In Boudou, St. Catherine, fear and uncertainty hang in the air as residents await the arrival of Tropical Storm Melissa. Tessina Taylor and other residents told CVM News all they can do at this point is patiently wait.
We live in a flood-prone area, so we know when storm come, we have to try to evacuate as quick as possible. Yeah, because where we live is safe when storm coming.
Okay, where we do water come in, sit in them and mash up. Me don't know what to do. So me just sit down and I look. Cause we don't know what to do. So it come like it and come. It a come in, but we say it and come. Cause we don't know what to do. We don't know the next step we have to make. Cause I sit nowhere. It come like it sees to we.
For others like Shanique, preparation feels like a losing battle.
Because right now you put something them pan black, it's still a wet up. Want some proper drainage right now. You buy your furniture, them you buy everything as look rain and flood out. We can't do nothing about it more than we have to just sit down and look as look rain fall in a bodo some place. So I can't understand. It just there. And I wait till the storm come, because that's all we can do.
Now, while some residents have given up hope, others are taking matters into their own hands, cleaning drains and clearing debris to reduce flooding.
This morning, me and my family, then we clean down, go straight down to there, so wish by you see we left a long grass, because we get tired, and so we have to leave the rest. But if you not clean out, when the rain come, it go down there so and turn back, come back in the house. So me have to at all times, when it come to them time, me have to at all times take a family and we clean out it.
So me I have to just try go and do this and all, because anytime rain start fall tonight, me know say a bam. So me have to try to do what I can do, Tomorrow again me have to come assist it again and dig more. You see what I mean? That me can get it out. So we suffer by it a lot.
Still, others are appealing for help, saying they can only do so much on their own.
A whole heap of problem we got, man. Every boat them get around here, every house smashed down by a boat, every boat will leg around here. Yeah? And all our boat that were up on the seaside can't go which part if you go. So you know, so we in a problem when rainfall and flood come.
Well, we want help clean the drain and proper drain system, because maybe if we have proper drain system, because we have that sea. So if we drain clean and the water run properly, we need proper drain system. Yeah, if help with the water. Because the rain fall will flood out automatically. So we are fret now because we need a proper drain system where we need it most.
Reporting for CVM News, I am Akeem Orit.
Now, in the meantime, emergency officials in St. Catherine are urging residents, especially those in flood-prone areas like Bodo, to stay alert. Joining us now live is Disaster Coordinator for St. Catherine, Yashika Jathan Thompson, to give us an update on the parish's state of readiness. Welcome, Mrs. Thompson.
Thanks for having me.
So we've been hearing from residents. We've been hearing from residents in Bodo. We saw the report just now, who are fearful about the storm's potential impact. Some have even been cleaning drains on their own, while others are pleading for government assistance. Where is the parish in terms of preparedness?
All right, as it relates to preparedness, so we had our Parish Emergency Operations Center meeting on Tuesday, where each agency provided us with a state of readiness. St. Catherine, we have a lot of flood-prone areas, especially in southern St. Catherine. So Old Harbour Bay, we consider it to be one of our most vulnerable communities. So we started pre-positioning supplies at the emergency shelter at the Old Harbour High School, and we have the JUTC on standby to assist us with evacuation of those persons to the emergency shelter. We have been in dialogue. We have an active community emergency response team in the Old Harbour Bay, and those persons are helping us with the mobilization of residents to this emergency shelter. Because if Melissa continues in the path that it is, then it's very likely that we will have a storm surge in the Old Harbour Bay community. Outside of Old Harbour Bay, we started pre-positioning in our northern section of the parish. So we have the hilly areas like Troja, Guysville, Lauderdale, Mount Industry. Those areas are oftentimes maroon if we should have prolonged rainfall because the earth will get saturated. And once we have those massive landslides, then those persons would have been impacted. So we started to pre-position some supplies in those areas to kind of ease the pressure if Melissa should come the way that it should.
So on the note of shelters and evacuation, exactly how many shelters are currently open across St. Catherine, and what's the process for persons who may need to evacuate if conditions worsen?
So we have 74 emergency shelters across St. Catherine, excluding 24 that they have in Portmore area. So the shelter managers are all on standby. They are from the community. They know the most vulnerable persons. They know the most vulnerable areas. So we have a communication system in place that once these emergency shelter is activated and the first person turns up to the shelter, then these persons will call us and we'll make the necessary arrangement to provide food, toiletries to those persons that are at the emergency shelter.
So I have to ask Mrs. Thompson, because I was covering St. Catherine last year during Hurricane Beryl, and you mentioned the Old Harbour High School as a shelter being used this time around. Again, what happened during Beryl was that the roof at the shelter there at Old Harbour High, it started to lift. What exactly are the measures that have been put in place to ensure that we don't have a repeat this time around, since you guys are planning to use Old Harbour High again?
So the situation in Beryl with Old Harbour High is that the capping for the roofing, it lifts. So we have identified additional classroom at the school that has decking top that will be used also along with the auditorium. But that situation has been rectified.
Okay. And what exactly would be a message, just before you go, what exactly would be a message to persons who may have some level of anxiety going into the weekend?
As we always tell persons, just try and be prepared. Just listen to the bulletins that are there. If you know that you're in a vulnerable area, we ask that you stay with a family member. We ask that.
All right, I think we are having some technical challenges there with Mrs. Thompson.
And in illness, to always walk with your medication. Always important to walk with the basic first aid kit item that you'll need and the basic toiletry materials.
All right, thank you so much. That was Disaster Coordinator for St. Catherine, Yashika Jatham Thompson. Thank you so much again, Mrs. Thompson. We're still in St. Catherine. As Tropical Storm Melissa continues to edge closer to Jamaica, fishing communities along the southern coast are bracing for possible impact. One such community is Old Harbour Bay in the parish, where residents are taking no chances. Our reporter Akeem Oret visited the fishing village and files this report.
With grey skies overhead and the wind picking up here along the shoreline, the once vibrant Old Harbour fishing village is now in full preparation mode. We have seen fishermen hauling boats out the water, securing nets, tying down engines, all in anticipation of Tropical Storm Melissa.
When the storm come now, you see them all roll and sitting. And it's a different thing when the storm come the right way now. I lift up all of them boats and fling go, mash them up. So what we do a while ago, we get two boat them now, and use that the boat there, bring them, go in at the mangrove, and draw them up and tie them up good. So nothing wrong with them. All in all, then we full of water, so what we have to go do, when we go over there back now, I just bail out the water, them out of the boat, and carry them back right here, so which part them park up, you get me?
Right now, the sea very rough. Right now. And never nobody to go there right now because they're dead. So we have prevent things right.
Now, Old Harbour Bay has a long history of being among the first communities to be affected whenever a storm approaches Jamaica's south coast. And residents say they have learned from past experiences, especially those that have caused flooding and property damage in the area.
When Gilbert come, I first time never run go Old Harbour to hurricane. My friend, because I say 3 little person. Them a hurricane, my friend. They go 2 deal, in blow down my shop.
Me never go nowhere. Me live in a one concrete or 2-bedroom and one kitchen and one hall and bathroom. I don't go nowhere from that.
Get your things in order, put them inside. What you can put up in the thing there, you put them up and leave. When they said you to leave, leave.
I'm standing here along the shoreline where, as you can see behind me, the sea has already begun to get rough. Now, fisher folks say while they are used to the weather turning quickly, the uncertainty of Melissa's strength keeps them on edge.
We have to just go on there, pack up a little fishing environment, my boat and the engine them, and you see me, because it's roll hard. So we don't know what I go on. You see me? We have to just go and look out and watch. To see if it come. If it come, we have to try to go to higher ground or so.
Last time I have carried all the boat in the bush. I have to run. I have to put me on my foot and run. Very quick though. Because we have watch where I go and let time to come. So we don't take no more chance for that. Yeah, no more risk not take. So prevent better than cure. So that's what I work with right now.
Just do the right thing, man. Do what's right, man. And follow instruction, you see me? We're not too big for learning, you understand? Yeah, just do the right thing and be safe, you see me? That's not easy.
For now, it's a race against time as the residents here continue to batten down before the storm makes landfall. Reporting from the Old Arbor Bay Fishing Village, I am Akeem Art for CVM News.
Meanwhile, out east, there is an unusual calm. St. Thomas is one of the parishes that often suffers the most during storms. This because much of the parish lies along the southeastern coastline, which is directly exposed to strong winds, storm surges, and heavy waves coming from the Caribbean Sea. CVM's Amari Wilson visited sections of the parish and files this report.
As we continue our watch on Tropical Storm Melissa, residents in Yala St. Thomas are taking no chances. They are doing all their last-minute preparations ahead of the storm for this weekend.
The customers are really stocking up for this storm. They're buying crackers, they're buying bun, they're buying all the things. They're really stocking up. They believe it's coming. They're buying bread, everything you can think of that entails this storm preparation.
See, I'm getting my grocery, candles, water. I make sure my tank is full, my drum is full. I make sure I have lights. And as you see, I come in and get some candles as well. So those are my physical preparation.
As residents stock up and secure their homes ahead of Tropical Storm Melissa, it's not just about preparation. Vendors and shop owners in Yala St. Thomas say the increased demand for supplies has given their businesses a much-needed boost.
It's okay so far, because we are selling only payam, you know.
As you can see behind me, residents are also taking their last-minute chances at the Bob Marley Beach.
Yeah, we have some ones that are curious to come see what going on with the storm, but yeah, we're pulling our storm, isn't it?
For those living and working along the coastline, the threat from Tropical Storm Melissa feels even closer. With rough seas already building and gusty winds sweeping the shore, many are taking no chances as the storm edges nearer.
We have pulled down where we can pull down and put it in a safer place. Yeah, that we have to do here now. Make preparation for everything.
With Melissa now threatening to become a hurricane, the mood in Yalas is changing from concern to urgency. Residents are calling on others to take the warnings seriously and to prepare before the weather takes a turn for the worse.
Look around, we're not even prepared for an hurricane. Look around, look at the roofs, look at the building. The structure not even prepared for a storm, much less a hurricane.
The residents of Yalas are calling on the Member of Parliament, councillor and other officials in the area to visit the communities and offer any support they can.
I'd like to see like the councillor and the MP going around visiting the sector, which is the division and the town, and because there's a tropical storm out, so at least assist. Who can get some flour, some rice, some sugar. We never know where's the centers where you have to go in case of an emergency. The police force have been here. You are the ones in charge of tropical disaster preparation.
Amari Wilson reports for CVM News.
And it's time for a break, but stay with us more when we return.
Your duty,
perform a track and trace, search for a declaration. Then download the Jamaica Customs mobile app today. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
12 p.m.
Visit VC's Electrical Sales today at 21 Mannings Hill Road, Kingston 8. Come see why VC's Electrical Sales is your go-to for quality electrical supplies at great prices. Check our website to see a sample of our products or call us for the full inventory at 876-622-9800. VC's Electrical Sales, also known as VC's Electrical Depot.
Monster Milk Mega Winnings Promotion. With me, only for prizes in the Monster Milk Mega Winnings Promotion. Buy any 3 boxes of Monster Milk and WhatsApp your receipt along with your name, address, phone number, and the name of the promotion to 876-352-1517. And you could be the lucky grand prize winner of a $200,000 Visa card. Or you could win 5 weekly prizes. Promotion runs September 15th to November 30, 2025. Grand draw December 4, 2025. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58(3) of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act. Made by Seprod. Must be good.
Get tiles and get creative with your floors, walls, and all the spaces in between. Our knowledgeable sales consultants are happy to help create your beautiful finish with the latest designs in first quality porcelain, wood look, vinyl, mosaics, natural stones, and countertops. At Creative, you will get every tile you need for your residential or commercial projects. Creative Building Finishes, your one-stop shop for everything tiles. Visit our showroom at 5 Red Hills Road or call 876-929-5553. Get tiles, get creative.
Welcome to Deposit Insurance in a Minute. JDIC provides deposit insurance to each depositor based on their ownership category, up to $1.2 million at each bank and building society.
So what that mean now? What it means is deposits in each bank are insured separately, up to $1.2 million, and deposits in different ownership categories,
such as individual accounts, business accounts, joint accounts, and trust and nominee accounts, are also insured separately in each bank.
So wait, if me open my account in a 2 different banks, the 2 of them cover 1.2 million each?
That is it. Even if you plan for open 2 different categories of accounts,
like 1 individual and 1 business account in the same bank,
JDIC insures them separately under the deposit insurance scheme.
That's how deposit insurance works.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
Welcome back to CVM News at noon. Now, just to say to our viewers, we are standing by for a press conference at the Office of the Prime Minister, where government officials will be sharing the latest on preparations for Tropical Storm Melissa. And as soon as they're ready, we will head over to that briefing. In the meantime, however, we're still in St. Thomas, where efforts are underway to clean a gully that runs through the Bamboo River community. For years, Bamboo River has been one of the most problematic areas in the parish, with many homes frequently flooded during heavy rains. Member of Parliament for St. Thomas Eastern, Yvonne Rosemary Shaw, earlier this week expressed disappointment over what she described as a lack of government support to carry out critical preparation works in the constituency. When our news team visited the community earlier yesterday, piles of garbage were seen clogging sections of the gully, a situation that residents say makes the matter worse. Some also told our newsroom they're preparing to evacuate in anticipation of severe floods. We spoke to Manager of Communication and Customer Services at the National Works Agency, Stephen Shaw.
Team went there with heavy equipment, and we are currently working to try and release some of or remove some of the debris that we have in this space. it's quite a bit. And so we hope that we'll be able to mitigate the impact of the stormwater flows that we expect to be associated with the passage of Tropical Storm Melissa as it is now. We also have plans to work in the Norris Gully and at Bath. Those works we intend to commence early on Friday.
Now, Portland remains on high alert, and while some residents have been taking no chances securing their homes and stocking up on supplies, others appear to be taking a more relaxed approach despite repeated warnings from disaster officials. Our reporter Kevin Black visited sections of the parish on Thursday. And we do apologize for the lack of audio on that clip. Now, the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, JCPD, is encouraging all persons with disabilities and their families to take precautionary steps now to prepare for Tropical Storm Melissa and the potential for flooding. The JCPD is reminding the public that the safety and well-being of persons with disabilities remain a national priority. They are urging everyone to stay alert, stay informed, and stay safe as the country prepares for Melissa. Now, if you are a person with a disability and need help evacuating or finding an accessible shelter, contact your parish social worker or the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, JCPD, at 876-447-0444. That's 876-447-0444. Now, Labour Minister Pernell Charles Jr. says social workers assigned to help persons with disabilities are in every parish and they're ready to support.
In each area, we have a social worker or a community organizer assigned to persons with disabilities. And they would have the contact list. Matter of fact, we have a WhatsApp line, 876-447-0444, for persons with disabilities to be able to contact us if necessary. So we have already sent out bulletins to the various organizations that we work with. We have put information on our social media through JCPD. And again, our social workers that are assigned to JCPD, they already have contact lists of the persons with disabilities that are registered. They understand their unique situations. And those are the persons that will be in touch with them to give support as necessary. But if you're not registered and you're a person with disability, you call that WhatsApp line and we will try our best to see how we can give support either through the JCPD or through our social workers or team, the humanitarian assistance team across the parish offices. In each area, we have a social worker or a community organizer assigned to persons with disabilities. And they would have the contact list. Matter of fact, we have a WhatsApp line, 876-447-0444, for persons with disabilities to be able to contact us if necessary. So we have already sent out bulletins to the various organizations that we work with. We have put information on our social media through JCPD. And again, our social workers that are assigned to JCPD, they already have contact lists of the persons with disabilities that are registered. They understand their unique situations. And those are the persons that will be in touch with them to give support as necessary. But if you're not registered and you're a person with disability, you call that WhatsApp line and we will try our best to see how we can give support either through the JCPD or through our social workers or team, the humanitarian assistance team across the parish offices.
In the meantime, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security says it's proactively preparing to respond to the potential impact of Tropical Storm Melissa with the safety and well-being of citizens as their top priority. Minister Charles Jr. says the ministry has taken steps to ensure a swift and efficient response across all 14 parishes.
We are committed to ensuring that no one is left behind during the times of disaster. And so, our teams are ready, they are equipped, they are mobilized to respond as best as possible wherever the need arises.
All right, we head now to East Kingston, where our reporter Giselle Mills is on the ground and is coming with us with an update. Giselle?
Good day, thank you. It seems to be business as usual along the Palisades Strip. We also made a stop by the airport where we saw people coming and going. It seems to be a regular day and flights are on regular scheduling. It's right back to you in studio.
All right, thanks. Now, Giselle will be going through in sections of the area and will come to us with an update in CVM News at 7 a little later on. Now, the opposition spokesperson on local government, Mrs. Natalie Nita Garvey, is issuing an urgent call to the Minister of Local Government, Desmond McKenzie, to urgently provide all municipal corporations with their September allocations from the Parochial Revenue Fund, PRF, to allow a comprehensive drain cleaning program island-wide to avoid flooding from Tropical Storm Melissa. In a statement on Thursday, Mrs. Nita Garvey said the minister himself had designated the September allocation for drain cleaning, yet no funds have been provided up to this point.
Despite government pronouncements, if basic works like drain cleaning are not done, the people face dire consequences. Minister McKenzie is currently presiding over a cash-strapped system. Unless he acts urgently, the local government system is heading back to the crisis of the 1980s.
Meanwhile, Mrs. Nita Garvey reports that the situation poses a high risk of flooding as the last drain cleaning was done in June 2025. She says the severe cash crunch affecting all municipalities caused by the lack of central government funding for the new staff structure and salaries has impaired efforts to adequately prepare parishes to mitigate against disasters, particularly flooding, a situation she said requires urgent attention. Meanwhile, as the country braces for Melissa, residents in Seaview Gardens are lamenting the state of the sandy gully which borders their community. Even as the National Works Agency did silt removal on Wednesday, other parts of the gully, they argue, need serious maintenance. Giovanni Dennis reports.
Name any kind of solid waste and it's likely in the sandy gully. From plastic bottles to scrapped cars and refrigerators, everything.
It looks pretty awful right now. It harbors so many different insects and smells, and you're surprised to see what people see in this gully too. I don't want to speak about that part, but that's police matters.
The sandy gully is the main stormwater runoff in the corporate area. With Tropical Storm Melissa on the horizon, residents of Seaview Gardens want the area of the sandy gully in their community cleaned.
They don't clean it, just leave it. I would just like we're the dump. They treat us like we're actual part of the dump. So I just want to have a plan in action to see how often they should clean it, and it should continue, not something that they said 1 month and done.
It want to take care of more. For them thing they have a rat, mosquito and them thing they upon the people, them man.
Delroy has lived in Riverton next to the sandy gully for more than 20 years.
Feel very upset about it. Definitely feel upset. Because even a while ago I was coming, I was looking at the gully and said, boy, the gully is into a deplorable condition, definitely.
Contractors with the National Works Agency were busy on Wednesday removing silt from an area of the sandy gully near the bridge on Spanish Town Road.
The work we're doing is in the vicinity of the sandy gully bridges at Spanish Town Road, and we're seeking to remove silt from the channel in order to facilitate the easier flow of the stormwaters that we expect associating with the heavy rainfall.
But on the other side in Seaview Gardens, this is what the gully still looks like. Structural engineer Dr. Wayne Reed says maintenance needs to be ongoing.
You would have to be cleaning that gully almost on a daily basis because it's a lot of sediment. I remember at one time, and this is way back, probably about 20, 30 years ago, when there was a big effort to clean out, and it was tens of millions of dollars at that time.
Is
so
the
you can
cost
imagine the
the
cost now.
current?
But, pardon me?
Do you think the cost is a deterrent?
Yes. Yes, the cost is a deterrent.
For Dr. Reed, much of the last-minute work now taking place with drains and gully cleaning will not stop the flooding Kingston has become accustomed to.
Rain falls in Kingston for half an hour and a lot of the place flood out.
And it will continue to do so until we look at the whole drainage of the corporate area.
The World Meteorological Organization says these types of water-related hazards are increasing because of climate change, noting that floods accounted for 44% of all disaster events between 2000 and 2019, affecting 1.6 billion people worldwide. In its 2021 State of Climate Services Water Report, the agency makes several key recommendations, including investing in integrated resources water management as a solution to better manage water stress, especially in small island developing states like Jamaica. Which brings us back to Alvin Robinson. For him, the Sandy Gully cannot be allowed to remain in its current state.
Normally, place look weird that the people are fast through and them thing. Want to take care of more better than that, man.
Giovanni Dennis, CVM News.
Now, the NWA has intensified its preparations ahead of Tropical Storm Melissa, focusing on drain cleaning and stockpiling materials. Communication Manager Stephen Shaw says the agency began additional works yesterday, mainly in southern parishes, which are expected to be hardest hit, including St. Thomas, St. Andrew, Kingston, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth, funded through a $200 million emergency allocation. He notes that over 100 truckloads of debris have been cleared from the Sandy Gully in St. Andrew, while protective sandbag work along McGregor Gully is nearly complete. Mr. Shaw is urging road users to exercise caution as flooding and rock falls are likely in several areas. Now, the New Haven community is no stranger to flood waters. CVM News team went to find out what are the precautions being taken by residents amid the tropical storm threats of Melissa. Giselle Mills tells us more.
New Haven is one of those communities that has been traditionally flooded whenever there's a tropical storm, hurricane, or even heavy periods of rainfall. We visited the community to see what is being done to mitigate against the flooding and how residents are reacting ahead of the arrival of Tropical Storm Melissa. Miss Vicky has been living in New Haven since 2003. She expressed the only thing preventing flood waters from entering her home is the high structure it was built on, but she still has great concerns.
Down here when it's raining, as high as this yard is, water reach right up here. You know, but it don't come inside the house, but it reaches way up in the yard here. You know, it's very terrible. It flood goes straight up. You know, I don't come out. I try my very best to buy stuff before, because I'm afraid to walk in the water because I don't know the alligator or the crocodile, whatever they call it, will swim in the water. So I really don't go out. I stay in until when it's dry, and I can hear it to go on the street.
This resident didn't wish to speak on camera. He stated he has been living in the community from the 90s and there has been no change. He hopes for a better system.
You see, like what you say, if I prepared food, and if anything, I just draw on some clothes and run. But where the water concerned, we can't do nothing about it. At the river and down at the gully. You see, out of the gully, out of 6 miles. That coming like it have to clean every 2 weeks. Because as you clean some old rubbish, block it up.
One resident added, this is just the same cycle. Videos are captured, pictures are taken, visits are performed, but nothing else is done.
So it's like basically I just picture for sure, nothing, nah do. Nothing nah do. At the end of the day now, politics time, I see the whole of them drive by, hey. When them win, them drive in them vehicle away them and bye-bye them and tell look at them not coming back, them can't come do nothing.
She added even when a rescue team is sent to get the residents in flood waters, they don't leave.
You know we now got shelter. They're saying our house, flood come, we're there. From me I grow still, my people in the yard, them not got shelter. I must stay in them yard. fire truck come, water I was still in our yard said we until the water go down.
Is it a level of comfort or is it frustration? The question still lingers. Residents made it clear that a demonstration is in the making. Druselle Mills reporting for CVM News.
Let's head to a break. We'll be right back.
There are certain moments in life you'll cherish forever, like finding love, realizing your life is going to change forever, creating your dream home. These are your great moments, and helping you to achieve them is ours. Chris and Charles, powering great moments since 1992. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
Every day starts with care. Care that's always close. Supermed family of pharmacies is where you go for everything you need. From your morning routine to life's biggest moments. Supermed family of pharmacies is always by your side. Whether it's prescriptions or household essentials, trust the care that's close to home. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed.
Welcome back to CVM News at noon. We're continuing the news. Councillor for the Little London Division in Westmoreland, Ian Miles, says he's satisfied with the level of hurricane preparedness in his area. He notes that residents and local authorities have been proactive in getting ready as the island continues to monitor the progress of Tropical Storm Melissa. Amari Wilson tells us more.
Jamaica Labour Party councillor for the Little London Division, Ian Miles, says he and a team of workmen spent Thursday clearing drains across the division. This he describes as a proactive move to reduce flooding risks as the island braces for the approaching tropical storm.
I'm here just doing some preparatory work within the division. We have been doing drain cleaning extensively. This morning we have started ensuring that all the major culverts that takes the main streams throughout the division, they are cleared so that water can flow if, in fact, we do get the rainfall that is forecast.
Councillor Miles added that these efforts are crucial, especially with the extensive rainfalls that impacted the area on Wednesday. Certain roads were flooded and impassable. Miles says officials met Wednesday at the Westmoreland Municipal Corporation to outline steps being taken to protect residents and reduce the risk of flooding across the parish.
All the agencies were present and they gave a report as to what's happening. The JPS was here, the NWC was here, the fire department, all the agencies, they were here. And, we are at a good place now.
Miles adds that the division's shelters and shelter managers are on high alert if Tropical Storm Melissa reaches Westmoreland.
So Little London Division, I can't say that I'm 100% comfortable with what's happening here. But we are doing all that it takes now to ensure that the citizens' lives are better protected, as well as their properties. So that's what we are doing right now.
Omari Wilson reports for CVM News.
Now, Minister of Energy, Telecommunications and Transport Darrell Vaz assures stakeholders have been working closely to provide a coordinated national state of readiness this time around. More from Curlin Brown.
Perhaps more concerning than what Melissa may download when she passes Jamaica or makes landfall during the preparation phases is the reliability of the country's utility and telecommunication providers. The nightmares of Hurricane Beryl, July 2024, are now triggers.
JPS has reported to me that they have fully activated the command centers under the new incident command system and placed overseas line workers on standby, with 31 of them already in Jamaica for pre-storm preparations. To boost resilience, critical control and telecom sites now have 48-hour backup power and new Starlink systems for communication continuity. The company has expanded its fleet with over 115 specialized vehicles to enhance post-storm response. Vegetation management and grid reinforcement have been intensified, especially in key transmission areas across western and eastern parishes.
Those commitments score high on the minister's checklist during this anxious lead-up before Mother Nature has her way.
This is welcome news to me, and it obviously is as a result of our experiences of Beryl. So I want to say that I can see that the JPS is being proactive.
The update from Petrojam also energizes the prospects of prompt action, theoretically at least, with all refineries and emergency systems confirming sufficient fuel supplies.
Over 2 weeks worth of refined products and 10 days of LPG following the storm. Loading facilities in Kingston and Montego Bay will extend hours to support pre-storm deliveries, and Jamaica Aircraft Refueling Services, JARS, is fully stocked with jet fuel and aviation gasoline to ensure continuous aircraft refueling.
At the same time, Minister Vaz assures emergency protocols have been fully activated at both airports.
At Sangster International Airport, MBJ Airports Limited has implemented pre-hurricane measures, including drainage and tree clearing, testing of generators with a 36-hour fuel reserve, and positioning of emergency supplies. At Norman Manley International Airport, PACAL has directed stakeholders to secure assets and complete drain cleaning, structural checks, and power system tests. Both airports will expedite reopening once safety is confirmed, with updates shared through official bulletins, social media, and coordination with airlines and government partners.
He hastens to explain, while the airports are expected to be closed within 24 hours once a warning is issued, it doesn't mean both will be closed at the same time.
For right now, airports remain open, and the only time that we will move to close the airports will be if the Met Office issues a hurricane warning.
As for ground transportation, the JUTC will maintain its bus services for as long as conditions allow.
30 buses are designated for emergency deployment across depots in Portmore, Spanish Town, Rockfort, and Montego Bay. Each depot has activated an emergency operations committee, and the JUTC representatives are embedded in national and parish emergency centers for coordinated response. All depots, fuel stations, and assets have been secured, and the company is prepared to support evacuation and transport efforts if needed.
The minister reserves the right to give the emergency directive to allow free toll access in case of congestion. And what of the interconnectivity highway through Flow and Digicel?
Flow Jamaica has fully activated its crisis management system with support from local and regional teams. Power resilience has been strengthened, with over 61% of mobile sites now having backed up power, and 143 new generators installed island-wide. Digicel has formed a dedicated disaster response core team to ensure continuous operations during the storm. Company has strengthened communication redundancy with satellite phones and backup connectivity through other providers. All network sites, towers, and facilities have been structurally inspected, and generators confirmed to be up and running condition. Essential spare parts are secured locally and overseas, and mobile cell sites are ready for rapid deployment to restore service. Digicel has also conducted safety training and weather simulation drills to enhance preparedness and technical response.
Plan, not panic, he adds. Curlin Brown, CVM News.
Now, St. Elizabeth was arguably one of the most severely hit parish by Hurricane Beryl in July 2024. So how is it going in St. Elizabeth? Let's go now to Member of Parliament for Southwest St. Elizabeth and Minister of Agriculture Floyd Green, who now joins us via Zoom. Welcome, Minister.
Thank you for the invitation. Happy to join.
So firstly, your constituency was was particularly affected last year. Now, even as we brace for Melissa, aren't people still recovering from Beryl?
We definitely have some people who are still recovering, and clearly this makes the threat of Tropical Storm Melissa even more daring for them. As I moved across the constituency yesterday, you could really feel the fear. It was palpable in terms of people just being extremely concerned, having gone through Beryl, still pulling back the pieces of the puzzle together, and now looking at a storm that a number of the tracks bring it along the south coast. The good news is that that heightened fear has led to increased preparation. So you could see that people were taking it very seriously. As I moved across our coastline, all of our officials had pulled in their boats and had secured their engines and were just, kind of looking and waiting. People were doing their shopping. And clearly, we have been working with the National Works Agency to do those final bit of critical drains in case the rain that is scheduled to come comes, so that we will have a free flow of water.
So with regards to those drains, what exactly does the cleaning process looks like at this time?
Yeah, so we have worked with the NWA to identify the critical areas right across the constituency. So areas like Middle Quarters, all the way into Lewana, all the way down to Sandy Ground and going across work in Parity and in Treasure Beach. We have looked at the flood-prone areas and we have put teams to work, and I want to thank the NWA, have put teams to work to clear those drains. A number of those drains did get some work early in the year, but as you can imagine, because October has had so much rain, they now suffer from overgrowth. So it's really about getting tractors to go in to clear those spaces. We do have a major outlet drain that I finished as MP a few years ago. It was started all the way back in Danny Buck's time, but it was designed so that the pond in Treasure Beach, if it reaches a certain level, it would flow over into the sea and not maroon areas like Great Bay. So we have ensured that that area is clean. That work is still ongoing, and I know we're moving into communities like Big Woods and, as I said, Parity, to try and ensure those communities that we know traditionally, once you have a certain amount of water rise and a certain amount of rainfall, that they would be maroon. We're trying to treat with those. We're also, and I would have just left the meeting that the Prime Minister would have had with all stakeholders, all our emergency responders, JDF, JCF, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, ODPEM, to look at things like pre-positioning assets to ensure that residents will be able to make safe passage. And clearly I would have raised some of the communities that are, again, traditionally below sea level, like a Black River, flood prone, so that we can take that into account in sorting out the logistics around any recovery response.
Generally speaking, what were some of the main points coming out of that meeting?
Prime Minister and the team, coming out of Hurricane Beryl, the Prime Minister had commissioned a study to look at what were the gaps in our response recovery efforts. And clearly now that we have another hurricane tropical storm on the horizon, the Prime Minister is trying to ensure that those gaps that were highlighted have been eliminated. So it was about taking reports from various entities around the gaps that were highlighted to ensure elimination. And in general, it's really about logistics, coordination, communication, being able to respond quickly and effectively in every single area. So whether that be in getting relief to the people, whether that be in shelter management, whether that be in search and rescue, and just overall now in damage assessment and recovery activities.
All right, Minister, let's take a quick pin and head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue that conversation with Minister Floyd Green.
unemployment rate has fallen to 3.3%, down from 13.2% in 2016. Our government's continued focus on job creation is delivering real results. We are building Jamaica. The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is
12:45.
Welcome back to CVM News at noon. Now, before the break, we were talking to Minister of Agriculture Floyd Green and Member of Parliament for St. Elizabeth Southwest. Now, Minister, just before the break, you were talking to us about, the details coming out of that meeting.
Yes, I was just saying that it was in general to assess the gaps, to ensure that the gaps that we saw from Hurricane Beryl, that those have been fixed in relation to execution, in relation to our recovery efforts, in relation to communication, shelter management, so that we are, again, better prepared. And I think what we want and what the government is very serious about is to ensure that each event of this nature, the government is better able to respond more effectively, efficiently, and in a more impactful way. So the Prime Minister had a fulsome briefing from all the entities, looking at those gaps which he raised from, and people directly addressing what they've done to address those gaps. So I can definitely say that we have learned lessons from Hurricane Beryl, and we are in a better position now to execute our response and relief and recovery mechanisms.
So in other words then, just for clarification, is it that the government is saying since those gaps have been fixed, the expectation or anticipation is that recovery this time around will be quicker than it was after Beryl?
Well, it's hard to say that until you see the weather event, right? Clearly, Beryl caused significant damage, but it was limited to a few parishes. We have to see what this weather event brings. But what I can say is that having sat in the meeting, having heard the Prime Minister's charge, having heard some of the entities respond, is that we are in a better position now to respond. So definitely we have tightened some of the gaps around communications, working together, around ensuring that we engage with the public. And again, I think you've seen some of those systems already being put in place. We have these daily press conferences to provide updates. We're looking at every area, including what happens with JPS, what happens with NWC, what happens with the hospital. So I think it's about strengthening systems. But in terms of the length and the time of recovery, that depends on the extent of the storm. And clearly, from where we sit in the agriculture sector, I was there as a part of that. We have our disaster management teams, committees, our recovery plans. But all of that has to be scaled and scoped based on what actually happens on the ground from Tropical Storm Melissa. And unfortunately, if it continues to move slowly and continues on the same track, we could be in for a difficult time.
So we're going to talk about the agriculture sector in just a moment, but to go back to St. Elizabeth Southwest, in terms of shelter readiness, where's the constituency where that's concerned?
Yeah, so thankfully our disaster management committee would have met on Tuesday. Our disaster coordinator, Ms. Rashma Lloyd, has been on top of things in terms of updating us. It's run by the municipal corporation. I spoke directly to the mayor. All our shelters are in a state of readiness. I would have got my shelter listed, and they have been distributing those shelter listing. Clearly, we are focusing on the shelters, especially in those flood-prone areas, and pre-positioning resources. So that is ready. I spoke to our disaster coordinator up to this morning in relation to any other areas of help things. People have been reaching out for things like tarpaulin. Again, some people are still recovering from burial, so are still in need of some of those items. And where possible, we've been working with the municipal corporation to make those available. So I would say definitely from a disaster coordination perspective, the municipal corporation and ODPEM through the disaster committee is on top of our shelter system.
So, Minister, you spoke earlier about the agriculture sector. We know that there are thousands of farmers right now who are still reeling from burial. I mean, some of them haven't even gone back to operating, the way that they used to prior to burial. What arrangements are in place right now for farmers who might be affected by Melissa?
So the first thing, what we've been saying to our farmers is take it seriously and put in the necessary precautions. So our RADA team has been out, our extension officers has been out and have been out engaging our farmers around preparedness. What does that mean? Clearly, the storm appears to be coming with a lot of rain. Ensure that your drains are clean. If you can harvest now. That's very, very important. And we will work with you, this being RADA, to ensure that you have the market for what you've harvested or that you have storage for what you've harvested. So we've been working with our agro-processors, for example, with our pepper farmers to say they harvest now, the agro-processors take it so that we reduce that downturn. So we've been doing that with our farmers actively. Clearly, we've also sent out messages around livestock farmers, ensuring you have sufficient feed, ensuring you have clean water. If you're in a flood-prone area, move your animals, if you can, to higher ground. Our fishers, we've said, come back to shore. Secure your vessels, and thankfully, we've seen a number of them have been doing that. So, as it is now, our main focus is to help our farmers prepare. Our greenhouse farmers have been getting the pictures. Some of them have again harvested and started to take down their plastic so that they do not suffer losses from the heavy wind. So we're in preparedness. We've also been in the data management stage to ensure that we have a good feel of what is out there, what is in the ground. We've said to the farmers, stock up on your herbicides, fungicides, to ensure that you can treat with fungal onset, things of that nature. But we already have a sort of mini recovery plan. So what we've started to do at the ministry is pre-prepare for these events. So we prepare the procurement of seeds, procurement of chemicals, so that depending on the size of the event, depending on where, we know that our vegetable lines are more susceptible, but we will have that to be able to help the farmers to get back out as quickly as possible. Right now, I say to all our farmers and our officials, prepare. The ministry will be there to hold your hand in the recovery process.
So, Minister, earlier you touched on storage. You know that one of the major issues in the past is storage for produce in times, like this. And you have been doing some work, like you just mentioned, to improve Jamaica's storage capacity. How has that been going now? And is there take-up from the farmers?
We're almost there. We're not there yet. We're almost there. And every time, it again says to me the urgency of what we have to do and trying to get it done. So we did indicate that we would have some storage completed by the end of this year. We're on track for that, especially in Essex Valley and Kirkvine, and we're putting in management structures in place. So definitely, the next hurricane season that rolls around, we will have at least 30,000 square feet of storage ready to take on produce, and that will really help us to ensure that we don't have significant losses in these times. So that is ongoing. We're also doing work in Colleyville. We also have a modular system. In fact, the reefer containers for the modular system was delivered yesterday for that system in Flagaman. However, clearly we've put the installation of the solar generated power system on hold until the storm passes. So we are on track in terms of our time frames. Unfortunate that Melissa is coming at this time, but definitely we will be better prepared for our next hurricane season.
And how exactly is storage capacity, how will it help farmers?
No, so we'll help in a big way. We'll help not just in hurricane seasons. We do go through times of glut and times of shortage. Why? Because we're seasonal farmers. So when people go to plant tomato, everybody's planting tomato, and then tomato comes and there's a lot of tomato on the market. But 2-3 weeks later, because it has a high spoilage rate because of a lack of storage, then we have a shortage and consumers complain because the prices have gone up. What we would be able to do is to buy these produce from the farmers, store them, redistribute them so that we have adequate supply year round. Clearly, it will take some time to get the systems up and operational, but the first step is to have the right storage for that. And for example, our storage in Essex Valley also comes with agro-processing. So we're not just storing, we'll be turning into puree, we'll be using brine preservation. So it's all about value addition. It's all about ensuring that we can have adequate supply straight through the year.
And final word, just before you go to your constituents in Southwest St. Elizabeth.
I know that there is a lot of fear, trepidation. We did go through a lot with Hurricane Beryl. But there's one thing that Hurricane Beryl showed to us, and Ivan showed to us, is that we can pull through. So I say to my constituents, one, take it seriously, be prepared, protect life first and foremost, because once we have life, we have hope, and we can pull through and build back even stronger. This year has shown our agricultural sector rebounded to the highest levels ever, despite Hurricane Beryl last year. We can do it again.
And final words to farmers, since you just mentioned the agricultural sector.
Well, our farmers are the most resilient people. I've been getting some messages, they're heartrending, because when you look out and you see you've invested millions, and by nothing that you have control over, you can lose all of it. You can understand the heartache, but the ministry stands ready to help them get through, and we will rise even stronger.
All right, thank you so much, Minister. That's Agriculture Minister Floyd Green, who's also the Member of Parliament for St. Elizabeth Southwest. Now, we're standing by to head over to the office of the Prime Minister. We have been told it will start in a few minutes at 1 o'clock, the special press briefing that will happen. In the meantime, the Met Service has put out another bulletin. It says the tropical storm warning and the hurricane watch continue for Jamaica. Now, at 10 a.m., the center of Tropical Storm Melissa was located about 260 kilometers or 162 miles southeast of Morant Point, or 345 kilometers or 215 miles southeast of Kingston, Jamaica. Tropical Storm Melissa has reformed recently with an estimated motion towards the southeast near 4 kilometers per hour or 2 miles per hour. A slow motion turning to the northeast and then north is expected to begin later today and tonight. A westward turn is then forecast to begin on Saturday, with that motion continuing through Monday. On the forecast track, the center of Melissa is expected to move near or just south of Jamaica early next week. Maximum sustained winds remain near 75 kilometers per hour, with higher gusts, and gradual strengthening is forecast for today, followed by rapid intensification this weekend. Melissa is projected to become a hurricane by Saturday and a major hurricane category 3 or higher by Sunday. Tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 220 kilometers from the center. Now, Melissa is expected to be a major rainfall producer over Jamaica. Now, amounts reaching 200 to 350 millimeters, which is 8 to 14 inches, are forecast for eastern parishes through the weekend, causing widespread flooding and landslides. This would gradually spread westward across the country next week. Now, as the tropical storm moves closer to the island, expect strong gusty winds reaching tropical storm force to initially affect eastern parishes later today and continuing into the weekend across the island. Hurricane force winds are also possible from as early as Saturday. While marine areas will see further deterioration today, small craft operators, including fishers from the Keys and Banks, are advised to remain in safe harbor until all warning messages have been lifted and wind and sea conditions have returned to normal. The Met Service continues to closely monitor the progress of the tropical storm, and all interests are encouraged to pay special attention to further releases. The next bulletin will become available at 2 p.m. today. And that's it for CVM News at noon. Join us again for CVM News at 7. We head now to the office of the Prime Minister, where a special press briefing on Tropical Storm Melissa preparations is now underway.
So we shall not be afraid, though the earth be in turmoil. Do mountains tumble into the depths of the sea, and its waters roar and seethe, and the mountains totter as it heaves. The Lord God is with us. The God of Jacob is our stronghold. There's a river whose streams brings joy to God's city. It sanctifies the dwelling of the Most High. God is in the city. It cannot fall. At break of day, God comes to its rescue. Nations are in uproar. Kingdoms are tumbling. When he raises his voice, the earth crumbles away. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our stronghold. Come consider the wonders of the Lord, the astounding deeds he has done on the earth. He puts an end to wars over the whole wide world. He breaks the bow. He snaps the spear. Shields he burns in the fire. Be still and acknowledge that I am God, supreme over nations, supreme over the world. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our stronghold. Let us pray. Merciful God, we bless your holy name. And in these days, Lord, we are united with voice lifted up to you in prayer. And so, Lord, we ask for your intervention with courage, with confidence, but Lord, we do so with humility. And as an expression of our humility, Lord, we have not walked according to your laws and your precepts. In whatever ways, Lord, we have not engaged each other, respecting the dignity of each person. And so, Lord, purify our hearts and our minds to make noble the cry of our hearts to you today, as we ask a blessing on Jamaica land we love, as we ask a blessing on our Prime Minister and the members of Parliament whom he leads. We ask a blessing on the leader of the opposition and the men and women that they lead. We pray, Lord, that they also will turn to you in this moment, calling upon you for guidance and inspiration. We ask, Lord, for blessings upon and wisdom upon all the state agencies that are necessary to cooperate and collaborate at this time as we prepare our island so that we can be ready for the worst, even though, Lord, we hope to be spared that worst. Pray, Lord, that you'll grant wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, that no stone will be left unturned as plans are discussed to be implemented. And Lord, have mercy on our country. You know how many persons are vulnerable at this time, Lord, and we make a cry out to you in their defense to safeguard this nation and safeguard those who are most vulnerable. Hear, Lord, the cry of your people and come to our assistance. And pray, Lord, the efforts that are being strategized, that indeed they'll always have your inspiration and your gracious assistance for implementation. So all that is done will be according to your will, for your glory and honor, that all that is done will be for the welfare of our people. Hear, Lord, our prayer, and grant your mercies, we pray in Jesus Christ, our Lord. And let us together pray as Jesus taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And let us add a thought. Let us pray also the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you very much, Your Grace, for that opening prayer, and we will be moving really expeditiously through this press conference. Again, we apologize for the late start. The Prime Minister was chairing a meeting with all of the key government agencies responsible for the response, and they had to report to the Prime Minister and answer all of his questions, and so that meeting went a little bit over time, and so we are here now, and the Prime Minister will tell you more about that. And so first up, we will have the Met Service come first to tell you about this storm. Earlier this morning, I said to my children, I cannot anymore with this storm. It won't tell me what it is doing. And so we have Evan Thompson, and Minister Samuda will also follow him in relation to the forecast. Evan Thompson, Jamaica wants to know what's happening.
Thank you very much, Minister Morris Dixon, and a very good morning, good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon, Prime Minister, all our ministers of government, Cabinet Secretary and members of the board of PSs, all our heads of agencies and departments, and of course the representatives and the media and the people of Jamaica who are listening. A very good afternoon to you at this time. I just want to give you a quick update on what is happening out there. We've been talking a lot about Tropical Storm Melissa. A very beautiful name, but I'm not too sure if it's a beautiful storm. We're hoping that this will not actually visit the island, but it still is in a position that it has been in for the past 12 or so hours, or maybe longer than that, because the system has not moved very much, neither has it developed significantly. There has been no change in the development of the system thus far over the past few hours. This is what the satellite imagery looks like. So it's rather ominous, what we can see on the picture here, but the center of the system is somewhere south of that smallest red area that is close to Jamaica. A little bit south or lower than that smaller red area. So it does have bands around it, a lot of rainfall associated with the system, and that's why we've been putting so much attention on this system, because if it does move in the direction of Jamaica, which is what is projected, it's likely to create quite a disturbance across the island. So just to tell you what the position, the latest forecast track is, they point to the bottom right hand of that picture where you see that round orange looking circle, or is it pink? I'm not too sure, not seeing very clearly from here. But that is where the system is located at this time. And the projected movement will take it first to the northwest and then to make a change to move directly west, practically west. Now at that point, that's when we are expecting that the system will become a hurricane. It is currently a tropical storm. It will continue, or is expected to continue moving westward, and the point that is just south of Clarendon, the center of the island, is where we expect it to become a major hurricane. That means it would become a category 3 or more hurricane, continuing to move westward, and then it will take a move toward the northwest and then toward the northeast, passing the west coast of Jamaica. So it seems that Jamaica is highly protected at this time by the Almighty, because as the system will move toward us, then we expect that it will move around us rather than moving directly over the island. That is what the forecast is. Of course, it is moving very, very slowly. And so there could be changes in how the other climate features orient themselves, and that will make a big difference as to how that track progresses. If high pressures move out of certain areas and low pressures move in or out, then we could have a complete change in the track that is projected of this system. Over the past few hours, about 6 hours, the system has actually shown a slight drift toward the southeast, which is in a direction away from Jamaica, which is a little bit interesting at this time, but it is not to be, yes, we can have some hope, and that's why I wore yellow today, because there's a bright hope that we have where the system is concerned, but it does not mean that the system is now moving away, because that could be very short-lived. The center has been relocated a couple of times, and so that's why it seems that it is actually drifting in that general direction away from us. But it is so slow, it's actually moving at just about 2 kilometers per hour, which tells us we could walk faster than that. So it's not impressive in terms of its movement toward or away from Jamaica. The track remains the same, the projected track that you see on your chart. Let me just move a little bit more just to show you another image of that chart. Where do I point this? Doesn't seem to be moving. Okay. All right, so here we see it. You see the H meaning hurricane, the M meaning major hurricane, and as a major hurricane moving around us. You would recall Hurricane Beryl last year. It was a category 4 to the south of the island, which means it was a major hurricane. So this is similar to also Hurricane Ivan, Hurricane Dean in past years, and moving around us. And then continuing, I'm moving in the wrong direction now, like Melissa. Here we see another image and just showing the timelines, because it is on Saturday that we expect it to become a hurricane moving west. It is on Sunday that we had expected for it to become a major hurricane, and then continuing around us, and you can see that this goes all the way to Wednesday. So this is a slow-moving system that is expected to remain in our territorial waters for a long time. It has already been here for almost a week, and this is likely to continue for almost another week. We are continuing to watch the movements. Here we see those lines are representative of where we expect or when we expect tropical storm force winds to impact on the island. So you can see that Saturday is when we had expected. It said Saturday at 8 a.m. That system to be just about touching on the eastern coastline of Jamaica, and then moving to Saturday, going through the day, Sunday morning being west of the island. So that is it is expected to pick up speed in terms of movement as well as intensity, and then it is expected to move around the island. So we see the timelines that were projected, but this was some time ago before the system stood still. So that means this timeline will have to be shifted for later activity than what we are seeing here in this chart. This just gives an idea of where hurricane activity could take place, and the center of that, what you see as a kind of circle, a contracted circle or a broken circle, you will see that there, the center of that is where the system is expected to become a hurricane, and therefore the extent of the winds that would imply hurricane activity would be just touching the eastern end, of Jamaica, and that's when, of course, we would know that we would have to be under a hurricane warning. We have not gone to a hurricane warning yet. The country is under a tropical storm warning, which means that tropical storm conditions are expected across sections of the island. And we also have a hurricane watch, which means that hurricane conditions are a possibility for the island, and that is within 48 hours. So I believe that takes me to the end of this presentation, and I'm sure the opportunity will be there for you to ask questions afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. Most Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Holness, colleague members of Cabinet, other members of the Executive, Cabinet Secretary, PSs, heads of agencies, members of the media. Thank you, Evan, for that detailed presentation. There is something that we have had to contend with through disasters in recent years, and that is the scourge of misinformation. We're asking that you pay keen attention to official news sources, being the Office of the Prime Minister's pages, the Prime Minister's pages himself, JIS, the Ministry of Water, Environment and Climate Change, of course the Met Service, ODPM, and other ministries' official statements. We've already seen projections and forecasts going around that do not reflect the Met Service's forecast, so we ask that you pay attention to these forecasts. We have been putting additional support for the communication needs of the Met Service in place so that you're able to get the information in a timely fashion and get the accurate information. So we're again reminding citizens who may be listening, and certainly members of the media, we ask you to help us to amplify this message because we're already seeing some misinformation circulating. That is on the subject of the weather forecast. As it relates, Prime Minister, to our preparations for the water sector, the National Water Commission has indeed brought on all of its emergency protocols, and staff is working 24 hours around the clock to ensure that we're indeed ready for the system. We're protecting our sites where there are pipe laying work going on, and we're also managing our stores very carefully. Now, in recent time, we had Hurricane Beryl, and we all remember the difficulty with getting particular communities
back with water. And we know that this is indeed something that weighs on the minds of citizens. We want to assure citizens that post-Hurricane Beryl, we have engaged several private suppliers of triple phase generators. And ahead of this storm, we have over 50 generators ready to go and to be deployed, so that within 72 hours of a storm, 80% of NWC customers will be able to get back potable water. This is a marked difference from the last time around. We have also rented 4 mobile generators that will be able to move to particularly impacted communities that may be out of water for some time and give water, allow people to fill their tanks, fill their storage facility, backfill the lines and move to other systems. We're working very closely, and there is a joint working group with the JPS, and we've already highlighted to them the critical pumps that supply hospitals, infirmaries, and certain places of detention, to make sure that those come up first, so that we're better able to supply all of our customers. We're also working with the parish councils and indeed ODPM to coordinate trucking activity once we have the all clear from ODPM, Prime Minister. We are settling all of our arrears with any trucking company to make sure that there is absolutely no one who is unwilling to serve the NWC or certainly the ministry ahead of any storm. Not that we have a particular issue, but because that question has been coming up consistently in our discussions. So we're comfortable that we will be able to restore service pretty quickly. We are working very closely with JPS, and we are ensuring that where there needs to be trucking to offset disruptions, that arrangements are in place with private suppliers. We've also positioned our owned assets nearest to places that are particularly sensitive. The final comment I would like to make is related to water quality. Again, we ask that you listen to the official sources and take the necessary guidance as to how to treat your water after a storm. After a storm, it is recommended that you boil water. Those notices will come from the Ministry of Health or the National Water Commission and will be amplified through JIS and its varying channels. But we ask that you listen very carefully to those notifications so that you know when it is safe to cease boiling that water. And final comment, Prime Minister, we have continued disconnections during this period to ensure that everyone is able to backfill their storage and is properly prepared with their household and certainly community storage during this difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Samuda. We are going to now move to Minister Pernell Charles Jr., our Minister of Labour and Social Service, for his update to the country.
Thank you, Minister. Prime Minister, colleague ministers, permanent secretaries, heads of agencies, all Jamaicans, good afternoon. We wish to reassure the nation that the Ministry of Labour and Social Security is fully mobilized, fully activated to respond to any potential impact during this active weather period. And we serve as the lead partner for welfare coordination, which includes shelter management, includes the household damage assessments, distribution of relief supplies, and payment of emergency assistance. We held meetings today as the lead of the Humanitarian Assistance Committee with our partners, and yesterday we had all of our parish offices activating their response mechanisms, and our teams are ready, they're equipped, they're trained, and strategically positioned to act quickly if the need arises. We have, across all of our parish offices, outfitted our staff with the necessary gear so that they can safely conduct any post-disaster household assessments. We have activated our communication protocol with dedicated WhatsApp groups being established to ensure that we have real-time communication between the parish and the head office teams. We have confirmed credit arrangements with suppliers to enable immediate access to emergency provisions and mechanisms being in place for disbursement, including emergency grants where necessary. And we also have held a very, very important training of the latest version of the JH Dyna form, which is a Jamaica Household Damage Impact and Needs Assessment form, which is used to collect information. This is critical because the collection of that information is a foundation of being able to do the assessment to provide the support through grants and otherwise other relief. So that form is updated and the process is improved. Our warehouses and parish offices are well stocked and pre-positioned for rapid deployment. We have commenced the pre-positioning of food packages across all parishes with an additional set of packages ready for immediate release as necessary. Supplies such as beddings, tarpaulins, cleaning agents, toiletries have all been pre-positioned. We have started that in Portland, Manchester. We have reinforcement that is scheduled to move out in Hanover and Westmoreland today. Additionally, the Central Food Organization warehouse, which is here in the capital, currently holds enough resources for us to prepare more than 10,000 packages if necessary, along with hundreds of other resources if the need arises. And I just want to say, Prime Minister, we're grateful to our partners in the Humanitarian Assistance Committee, including Food for the Poor and others who are already delivering resources and supporting us in terms of relief supplies. Lastly, we have activated our Emergency Operations Center. It has now been officially activated to help to coordinate all of the welfare and relief operations. And of course, this includes participation with our partners. Primarily, we have spoken to the World Food Programme, who have been the partner assisting us with the JH9 form. We met this week earlier to strengthen the interagency coordination. And I want to advise members of the public, if you want to contact us, the emergency hotline for our Emergency Operations Center is 922-9500-10. That's 876-922-9500-10. In particular, we have a special WhatsApp number for persons with disabilities to be able to communicate with us. That's 876-447-0444. And through the JCPD, our social workers and community organizers are all geared up to review their contact lists for persons with disabilities, as well as the NCSC team is focused on identifying vulnerable senior citizens so that we can be proactive in ensuring that we are contacting them. All of our offices have functional vehicles, fuel and toll arrangements have been made and put in place to guarantee mobility during our response efforts. And again, the Labour and Social Security Ministry stands ready with our people, our supplies and systems in motion to ensure that no Jamaican is left behind. We want to ask that all who are in communities, we urge you, as we always do, to make sure that you look out for the persons with disabilities, the senior citizens, and the persons, family members, friends, community members who need support. Let us be proactive in ensuring that we identify and provide that information to us so we can help them, and particularly those that are in need. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are going to have Minister Mackenzie. He is online. Minister Mackenzie, can you hear us? Minister Mackenzie, are you there? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and have the update from our minister who is responsible for works, Minister Robert Nestor Morgan. You're up next.
Thank you very much, Dr. Morris Dixon, and thanks to those who are listening live as well as those who are listening online. The National Works Agency has been fully activated to assist with the National Disaster Preparedness effort. We have activated all our parish managers as well as our engineers to assist in determining the most vulnerable areas within the country that requires urgent intervention. Initially, the National Works Agency, at the instructions of the Prime Minister, would have allocated $200 million that would have gone to mitigation efforts primarily from the eastern side of the island to the southern side of the island, which focused on parishes that have been deemed most vulnerable. Recognizing the evolution of the movement of the storm, the Prime Minister was also instructed that an additional $200 million be allocated for disaster preparedness. At this point, we can confirm that every constituency across the island has been allocated at least $3 million to aid in their disaster mitigation efforts, led by the National Works Agency in collaboration with members of Parliament and other parties within their geographic areas. We're focused on several areas that are low-lying and flood-prone, as well as several national assets such as the Sandy Gully. We're also focused on Portland Cottage, sections of Portland, St. Mary, St. Thomas, and other low-lying and flood-prone areas, particularly in St. Elizabeth and Manchester, which, based on our experience with Beryl, would have faced significant damage due to flooding. Our position now from the National Works Agency and the Works portfolio is to strategically place equipment across the island and engage our local contractors in preparation if there is need for the removal of debris and the clearing of roads. During the storm, if it does come, we will maintain a posture of observation as well as collaborating with the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management in case there is need for emergency activity to provide access to vulnerable persons who may have challenges. Post the disaster, if it does occur, the National Works Agency will lead in creating single-lane access to whatever roads and thoroughfares may be closed, with primarily focused on providing access to the emergency services. We'll also begin assessment of critical national infrastructure to see whether there is damage, and where necessary, we'll provide remedial efforts, temporary remedial efforts to roads which may be damaged. We have been looking at, as I said earlier, several vulnerable areas such as McGregor Gully, Shoemaker Gully, Sandy Gully, and other gullies across the island. And we will continue to give updates as we continue to work to prepare for the storm that is near to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. As you see, we are being very efficient. Our Prime Minister has told us we need to be more productive, and we can't have these long speeches from ministers, and so we're listening to our Prime Minister. All right, we're going to be, while we work out the signal for Minister Mackenzie, he's out on the road, and so we're going to move straight into our security forces. So we're going to have our update from the Commissioner of Police first, and then we'll move to JDF.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Most Honorable Prime Minister, Ministers, Permanent Secretaries, Heads of Agencies, members of the media, persons joining online, good afternoon. In terms of our general state of readiness, the JCF Hurricane Preparedness Plan, the JCF Hurricane Preparedness Plan has been activated in anticipation of the possible impact, and the following measures are in effect. So we have convened our meeting with all area and divisional commanders to review our readiness protocols. Our incident command centers have been stood up for activation at the divisional level. Liaison officers have been assigned to coordinate with parish disaster committees and the ODPEM. Our operational response, which includes our quick response, our highway patrol, and mobile units, are briefed and ready for deployment. We have reviewed and updated our shelter security plans. In terms of our management structure for the